Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we have a very, very special guest, the co star of Netflix latest number one show, Echoes, Karen Robinson. Karen, thank you so much
Hi,
for being here. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing so good. I mean, how could I not be doing good with what this show is doing on
Oh
Netflix?
my God. Oh, what a fabulous 7 episode limited series. You
Mm,
play Sheriff Floss. So let's get right
mhm.
to it. Your portrayal of Sheriff Floss next to Michelle Monaghan's Lenny and Gina is, for me, by far the most interesting character. Of course, next to the twins played by Michelle.
Oh my.
Sheriff Floss, I mean, you just are like the glue that brings it all together. Now, when you booked this role, what
Uh-huh.
was your hope to making Floss your own?
Oh God, I feel like I bring the same intention to every single role that I do. And it's to tell the truth. To tell the truth and to keep discovering the character throughout the entire process. So I tend to go into these things doing knowing nothing. Yeah, you do your research, but you can't really know the character until you've experienced the
Mm-hmm.
character. And you can't do that until you're in the experience itself. So I just wanted to listen and respond authentically and tell the truth, and also be really really true to what the creators intended, like what is it that they want from me, how do they need to tell the story, and how can I help them do that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now, being in every episode of this show, as the story unfolds from the first episode to the seventh, in your opinion, what do you think is the underlying theme of this show? Is it how one little lie leads to another, and until it gets so big, you're in a situation where you are trapped? That's my takeaway. What's yours?
My takeaway is that that is a part of it. I also think I think it is also warning us about judging books by their covers,
Mm-hmm.
literally.
Yep.
I- uh, Deciding too quickly who's good and who's bad, and why is it that we come to the table with these assumptions.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing. But yeah, there is, I think, a big part of it is how untruths can keep revisiting us throughout our lives and throughout the lives of the generations that come after us.
And it doesn't only affect your life, it affects the family, your people you love. It ends up eventually destroying everyone's lives, and that's what this story talks about.
If it's not addressed, yeah, absolutely, if it's not addressed. I mean, people make mistakes all the time, and I
Hmm.
think people tell lies, or at least obfuscate the truth for, sometimes for good reason. Like our parents told us stuff that
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
true. They just needed to get through the day, or for anyway, for really good reason. But if at some point it's not metabolized, if it's not addressed, if the truth doesn't come out, then yes, it will continue to poison,
Yes, I
you know
completely
all
agree.
into
Now,
the future.
now Sheriff Floss is a
Mhm.
very smart cookie. She plays herself out to be this small town sheriff. Oh, I don't know much about this. Very
Yeah.
smart, very cunning in her own little way. In your words, how does the sheriff use this approach to her advantage?
Well, let me just say off the bat that I think Sheriff Floss is genuinely a nice. She is a kind person. She is a nice person, and she loves her community.
Hmm.
She's lived there a long time. She knows all of these people intimately. So these people and her community, they matter to her. And I think that I think that her charisma
Yes.
has been a part of getting her to where she is. I mean, to be able to be to achieve the level that she has in her career, especially as a Black woman in a small town in
Mm.
America.
In
I think that
Virginia. In Virginia,
that
too.
that yeah, in Virginia, that takes savvy, that takes smarts, that takes acute intelligence, and she has to know the territory in
Yes.
which she exists, right? So I think all of that comes to bear. However, her particular style of investigation is, I think, disarm them with charm.
Yeah.
Disarm them with charm. And they will tell you, the story's gonna come out. Get
Very
them.
observant, looking for that little mistake that might
That's
slip out.
right. Keep them talking, and they will tell you the story sooner or later. And she is dogged, right? She does
Oh,
not let up.
That's what I love about her. Now, every character is different. You've been an actor for a while now. What kind of preparation did you do to get into Floss's mindset? Small town sheriff, smart, cunning, but, like you said, in the South, being a woman, sheriff, and dealing with this prominent family. And, so how did you get into that mindset?
Honestly, John, I think when the material is written exceptionally well, which I think this
Oh, yeah.
is, there isn't a hell of a lot of research that I have to do. It's not like I have to go in. And when I say that, I don't mean I don't do my homework.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that I don't have to go live in a small town in Virginia for a month in order to approach the character. I do have to do work in terms of my accent because I speak with, a sort of mixture of British, Jamaican, Canadian accent in my everyday life, but that's not the way they sound in
No.
Virginia. So there was a lot of work that I had to do there. And I feel like once I got there, I started to listen because there's nothing like actually going out into the community and listening to the way people speak and watching the way they move their bodies, how they feel about their environment, how they sort of communicate with each other. And there are also, there's so many examples on TV. There's such great content that has already been made
Mhm.
that speaks volumes about, small town American life.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I took all of that on board when I was approaching this character, and also like personality traits from certain people that I follow on social media and that sort of thing. It's so much fun, and always my mother shows up in just about every single character that I do. Because I think her face, is sort of transplanted onto mine, and yeah, that she always helps. So yeah, it's a mixture of things that I
Mm,
do. And specifically for this character, I just plucked from everywhere and everything that I thought would help me in this situation.
my favorite scenes are the interactions between you and Lenny slash Gina, Michelle
Mm,
Monaghan. Now,
mm,
we know from the beginning that the sheriff is suspicious. Lenny
mm.
disappears, Lenny shows up. Right away, what side of the horse did you fall off from? That's
Yeah.
weird because the blood was on the left shoulder. You can't, you know that something is up. What did you think Floss thought? Did she have any idea? I mean, she knows something is up, but do you think she had any theories as to what was going on?
I think that Floss, I think any good detective has a working theory. and also they're able to change that theory as they take on more facts. But I think that Floss has been watching Lenny and Gina with good reason, because they've been getting in trouble a lot throughout their
Hmm.
life. So I think Floss has had them in her purview for quite a while. And I mean, not to give away any spoilers, if anybody doesn't want to hear any spoilers, close your ears now. But remember when in that first meeting with Floss and Gina, she says to Gina, "Well, Lenny's saddle and bridle are missing with her horse."
Hmm.
So something isn't adding up in this initial situation.
Yeah.
This event isn't adding up in terms of what it is that people are asking me to believe it is. That she's gone missing,
And
and
Floss is the
that's
type of
why. Yes.
and Floss to me is the type of person that if something doesn't add up, it'll just eat at her, eat at her, eat at her. Unanswered questions does not sit well with Sheriff
No,
Floss.
no, and I find it interesting that you use the word eat, because that's also what I do all the time. I would be stressed. It's just
So,
like Smarties, Cheetos, popcorn, an apple, whatever. It helps us think.
so Michelle, you know what? That looking back and remembering now the episodes and all the times that we do see you snacking, I didn't catch on to it until you actually just mentioned it. Now, Michelle Monaghan, again, playing two roles, she did a fantastic job. I've spoken to her. She was a previous guest of ours. Uh, when you were approaching and you had your scenes, and whether it was with Lenny or Gina, did you have to sort of help Michelle with her character by approaching your character a little differently when she was talking to Lenny and when she was supposedly talking to Gina as well? Or did you just treat them as the same person, whether it was Lenny, Gina, you just, Floss had the same approach?
I don't think, I mean, I can't treat them as the same. I couldn't treat them as the same person because they're not the same person.
Yeah.
And Gina has left Mount Echo and gone off to, a big metropolis, and has a different life and a different attitude to Mount Echo and its inhabitants at this point. So I think that there's a slightly I think Floss is smart enough to know that she has to adjust to whatever energy she's getting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At the same time, Floss's ultimate focus is to solve
Yeah.
whatever mystery he's pursuing. So really, um, really, it's in treating different people differently. She really needs to get through all of that to get to the ultimate point, right?
Exactly.
So and having said all of that, Michelle Monaghan, who blew my mind every day
She
with
did a fantastic job.
what she did with these characters. I would go as far to say that child did not need my help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as actors, of course, we're all there for each other,
Hmm.
and she was working terrifically hard. And so, sure, I was there as a support, but really, her acting chops, her level of preparation,
She
her
had it.
knowledge of the subtle differences between these characters, all of that stuff. She was so on point that I just basically had to show up and not screw up.
That yeah, I totally agree. We're almost out of time, but I do have one final question for you.
Uh-huh.
A scene with Floss that really surprised me is that in the interrogation room, towards the latter half of the episodes, when the Gina does reveal the truth to you, you seem totally surprised. I thought Floss was really onto it, that these two were doing this shady stuff. and you're surprised, like, do you really expect me to believe that? Total shock, like it came out of left field. Was Floss genuinely surprised when the truth was revealed to her? Did she really have no idea that this might have been a possibility?
I think that what surprises Floss is that she thought that she was getting so close to to putting this thing to bed
Mm-hmm.
finally after decades.
Yeah.
It's and the realization that she was basically back where she started in terms of being able to lay the blame where it belonged. I think that was the shock
Yeah,
to
and
her.
she couldn't because, like she says, I can't charge either of you.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to thank you so much, Karen. This has been absolutely fascinating. Guys, the show, again, is called Echoes. It's currently the number one streaming show on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Check it out. It's a
Yeah.
7 episode limited series. Our guest Karen here is a major star, co-star. I mean, she's a big part of the pie. Let's put it that way. Thank you again so much, Karen. For
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure to be here.
it was an awesome chat. Thank you to our audience, those who are tuning in live, and those who will be watching this later on. Check out the show on behalf of Karen Robinson and myself. Stay safe and stay walking, everybody. Bye bye.
Hi, everybody.